Wachee if you think you see mermaids.
Weeki Wachee,
floating in the waters of blue. Don't rub your eyes in surprise that you see mermaids, because at Weeki Wachee you do. At Weeki Wachee as you drift among flowers,
Weeki Wachee,
you will then be dreaming. And
One of Florida's original roadside attractions, Weeki Wachee Springs, was built in 1947 by a man named Newton Perry, a former U.S. Navy diver. Perry saw Weeki Wachee as a great business opportunity and set off to create his vision, synchronized swimming underwater. He scouted girls to perform in his underwater ballet and invented the air hose. The air hose is what allowed girls to stay submerged for long periods of time. 6 feet below the surface of the spring was an 18-seat theater made for guests to watch live performances. And thus, the Mermaid was born. Back in the park's heyday during the 50s and 60s, people would travel from far and wide just to catch a glimpse of Perry's mermaids. Many celebrities visited Weeki Wachee, like Elvis Presley, Don Knotts, and Esther Williams. ABC owned the park in 1959 when it was one of the most popular tourist sites. That was until the mouse came along. Once ABC heard another theme park in Orlando, Florida was opening, they sold their ownership. In 1971, Walt Disney World opened, which took away most of the park's business, leading to declining attendance. In this tragic tale of events, the park was put under extreme pressure. Since no revenue was being made, the park started missing lease payments, electric bills, and couldn't make payroll. This was the beginning of the possible end. In 2001, the Southwest Florida Water Management District, also known as SwiftMud, purchased the land that surrounds Weeki Wachee Springs, along with the land that the park sits on. The park's previous owners entered into a long-term lease agreement with the state agency to run the attraction. The owners severely neglected the park, and the state hired an engineering firm to document the neglect. A 10-page spreadsheet claimed that there were over $1 million worth of damage. The owners decided that they were quote-unquote not putting a single dime back into the park and didn't care whether the mermaid ever swam again, end quote.
My name is Susie Penoyer. I originally worked here from 1971 to 1973, and I came back for the 97 50th anniversary and been swimming ever since as a legendary siren. Weeki Wachee has always been a part of my life. I feel like what one of our girls always said, once a mermaid, always a mermaid. It gets in your soul. You can't resist it, it's just there. And you are what you are, and we are mermaids. Weeki Wachee is basically the heart and soul of my existence. It is part of my life, it's who I am, it's my identity, basically. It's what I've always been, ever since I was in high school. I was working here on weekends when I was a senior in high school, and the day I graduated, I didn't even go home. My car was packed, and I came up here and moved into one of the cottages in the back. And so it's just been part of my inner self, always.
It was then that the city of Weeki Wachee knew they had to step up to save the beloved park. Incorporated in 1966, the city of Weeki Wachee, population of only 9, is one of America's tiniest cities. In 2003, the city agreed to accept the donation of the lease in an effort to save it. With $1 million worth of damages, how could the small city of 9 people with a $30,000 annual budget save the historic attraction? That's where the mayor comes in, Robyn Anderson. Robyn is the mayor of Weeki Wachee as well as the park's general manager. She was previously a mermaid before she climbed up the corporate ladder. Robyn kickstarted the effort to save the attraction and coined the phrase, "Save Our Tails." And then the war began.
The Save Our Tails campaign was a campaign launched by Athanason and myself in order to bring attention to the attraction while we were going through our battle with SwiftMud, and we really wanted to get it well known on a national level to let people know that one of Florida's original roadside attractions could be potentially closing.
Swiftmud loathed the idea of the city owning the attraction, citing, "We will never let a bunch of dumb former mermaids run this park."
I had a lot of emotions going through the whole issue that we dealt. I had a great support system from my staff and everything. But I think the biggest thing that weighed on me was that at the time I was very young, and that a lot of my staff depended on me in order to make sure that they had jobs and to support their family.
The city fought against Swiftmud in court in this David vs. Goliath battle. With this, the small city was placed into the spotlight. Newspapers, television interviews, Weeki Wachee was making the world headlines. This city was seen as the underdog in this fight against the state, yet the world rallied up behind Robyn and her team, including Athanason, the marketing director.
Well, I think Weeki Wachee's had a tremendous effect in this community. I mean, here in Hernando County, when most people think of, hey, where do you live? Hernando County, they don't really know where that's at. But when you say Weeki Wachee, instantly you know where that's located. And it became a state park based on the tremendous efforts of a lot of people wanting to see this park survive. In the midst of being in between Orlando and Tampa, and you've got Disney and Universal and Busch Gardens, many parks like Weeki Wachee, these old roadside attractions, became extinct. And that was one of the things that we didn't want to happen to this special magical place. And so the opportunity came to present this as one of Florida's newest state parks. We jumped on that idea because we knew if it became a Florida state park, then it would secure the longevity of what this park has meant, not only to this county, but to the entire state of Florida.
Well, I love being a mermaid because I love performing for the audience. I love the kids and the adults. I love the camaraderie that we have. We're sisters, we're like a family. Everybody that even works here in the park, we all are just very close.
Robyn, with the help of her management team, cured all the damage for a fraction of the cost, thanks to donations from the public. After months of battling with the state over the park's fate, the city negotiated with the state, allowing them to take over their lease. The city of Weeki Wachee then donated the attraction to the state of Florida. On November 1st, 2008, Weeki Wachee Springs became one of Florida's state parks. The Mermaids were back in business.
I think people in small numbers can do great things, and we did a great thing and we saved this attraction.